Hello and welcome back to another insightful episode of the Lawway with Lawyers. I'm your host Shambhvi, a final year law student. Today we are honored to welcome a distinguished guest from Supreme Court, Mr. Shrey Yadav Sir. Sir, it is a privilege to have
Thank
you
you.
here with us. Thank you for joining. Sir, as a final year law student, I often wonder there are many questions that comes to my mind regarding the legal profession, career, judicial reforms. I would love to know your thoughts and perspective on these.
Yeah,
With your due permission, I would like to begin
yeah,
with
yeah.
my
Please,
question.
please go ahead.
Thank you. Uh, I often find myself and law student wondering about the various career options after completing the law school. What is your take on it?
See, I think as on today, there are a number of career options which are available for law students. Now, this field is not only confined to litigation, which was the case earlier. Now, after your law school, you can prepare for judicial service exam, which is the lower bench, as we call it, which is civil judge junior division. And then you have also an option to practice with the law firms. And not only that, there are various avenues in the government as well. For example, numerous PSUs, they are recruiting lawyers, fresh law graduates into their fold, because there are a lot of complex matters which need to be dealt with. I mean, not just like any matter going to the court, it is the last resort. But before that, there are a lot of paperwork and preparatory pre-litigation work, which are handled by their own in-house counsels. So PSUs like ONGC, NTPC, Indian Oil, they are recruiting law graduates these days. And apart from that, there is one more option that is coming up, which is quite lucrative. Is that number of students, they are working with law firms, corporate law firms, and after working there, gaining some experience, they switch over to in-house counsel in big multinational companies. Like I have my friends who have worked in big corporate law firms, and now currently they are into companies like Amazon, Google, and they are getting very good packages. So that is one of the uh, you know uh, a good upcoming option for the law graduates. And in that, you are paid handsomely, and your job profile is almost similar to like those of engineers or the managers who are part of these companies. And apart from that, if somebody is interested in, say, armed forces, so that is also a good option, because in armed forces, for example, judge, advocate general entries are there. So somebody who is interested in donning the uniform, as well as sticking to his legal profession or the legal field, so he can join as an officer in the JAG branch of Indian Navy, Indian Army, and then they can render their services for the nation. And one more new addition is that earlier paramilitary forces did not have a special entry for law graduates. They had special entry for, say, medical officers. But now even the paramilitaries, they are recruiting law graduates, and they are like officers in the paramilitary looking after the legal work. For example, if I can share with you, I do a lot of service matters of paramilitary personnel. So we interact with JAG officers of, say, ITBP, of CRPF. So this is also a very good upcoming field. And I think apart from that, there's always research. You can work with uh, big NGOs, think tanks. So that option is also there.
So my next question is, recently the Honorable Supreme Court has passed a judgment regarding the Judicial Services Examination
Yes.
mandating a 3 years practice.
Hmm.
So what do you think? Why is it necessary?
See, I'll answer this question with a quotation by Justice Bobde, Chief Justice Bobde. So, in one of the functions, he said that the bar is the mother of the bench, and we are co-partners of an undivided family. So, from this statement itself, you can understand the significance of the bar. Um, so what happens is, so the in the judgment which has been passed, Supreme Court has observed that any fresh law graduate who directly sits on the bench lacks certain qualities which should be there in the judge. Now, I am not saying that they are incapable or incompetent. It is not that case. It is that some things you only learn with your experience. That cannot be taught you as a curriculum, as a course. You can't read a book and imbibe those qualities. Now, for example, now suppose somebody is a judge. He has no experience at all. Now he's sitting on the bench. Now he has to, adjudicate on matters like reputation, like property, like freedom of speech and expression, of liberty. These are complex issues that require some kind of understanding and maturity, which should not only be confined to the book, but also to the practical aspects of the life and the profession. So if there is a say a mandate that 3 years practice is required, so I think it's a welcome step. Students should not take it in the negative sense, because once they join the bar, so they will realize that they will imbibe and inculcate certain qualities which possibly they would not while sitting on the bench directly. Now when we fight for say a bail, so we know what are the stakes. We interact with the client, we interact with their families, we know how distressed the families are when somebody is in jail. Now when you interact with them, you know it is not paperwork. There is one life which is behind bar, and on that person so many others are dependent. So I'm just giving you an example. So if you practice, you will know what are the stakes. So while say not giving a bail or cancelling a bail, you will think twice. You will think on number of aspects, that this is not just one person. Now if I put this person behind bars say for another 2 months, what will happen to his children, what will happen to his wife? And also the fact that, for example, like in law we all say that you are innocent till proven guilty. Now in the pre stages, like before coming of the final judgment, these aspects are very important. I think this will be working with the senior, associating with a senior will give them a good perspective, and they will become better judges. And this point like has been was deliberated well by the Supreme Court, because just to give you a factual background to it, in the 117th Law Commission report, it was recommended that fresh law graduates will be recruited as judges, and there was a provision where it was said that we will give them an intensive training of 2 years. However, over the period of time, it was discovered, and this has been observation by various high courts. In their affidavits, also they have stated before the Supreme Court during the course of the arguments that those qualities, those instincts, it is lacking in the students who are directly getting to the bench. So it is, I think it's a well thought out decision, and students should take it in a positive sense, because eventually you will also pick up a lot of skills that during the courtroom, when the bar and the bench, when we are exchanging arguments, when we are making submissions, you would understand it much better. And also, one, this is my personal opinion, for example, judiciary is not like other civil services. There's a difference. In other civil services, the focus is on administration. Now in the courtroom, you don't come for administration, you come for justice. आपको वहाँ बैठ के न्याय करना है. So your approach cannot be of that of an any officer who is a civil servant. You are different. You are a judge. You have to get into the deeper things. You don't have to pass an order. Like for example, usually what we see, the executive who pass an order, that they just pass an order, but the judiciary or the judges, they pass a reasoned order, which has to be based upon principles of natural justice, right? So these things are the differentiating factor. And if somebody say has an experience for say 3 years, and not just like a real experience of 3 years, they will find this difference within them when they are passing orders and judgment.
So, what do you think? What are the alternative ways apart from the traditional route or process? What are the alternative ways from which one can become a judge in India?
Okay, so in India, you can become a judge. There are three ways to do it. First is you write an exam, Civil Judge Junior Division, which is conducted by the various high courts of different states. So that is one process. Second is you can become a judge by writing a higher judicial exam, which is called as the HJS. So that is after practicing certain years, then you become eligible and you are directly recruited as an additional sessions judge, ASJ or the ADJ. And third and the final is when you are elevated as a judge by the collegium before the High Court and before the Supreme Court. So that is you can become judge by elevation. For that there is a special mandate in the constitution, like the minimum prescribed criteria. It's slightly different for the High Court and slightly different for the Supreme Court.
So my next question is, as we see there has been a rise in rape cases in India. The laws are not enough in instilling fear in minds of the criminals so that they don't do or commit such crime. So what do you think about that?
I think after Nirbhaya case, a lot of amendments were made in the penal laws. However, I feel that this issue is not just because there is no fear of the law. It's a deeper issue, and there are a lot of other sociological factors as well. I think a lot of deliberation was made that there were voices though they were saying that death penalty should be mandatory in the rape cases, but after due deliberation and discussion in the parliament, that idea was dropped. uh, I do not feel that merely by making laws further stringent, this issue can be addressed. There has to be, more things need to be done at the societal level. For example, changing of the thought process, the misogyny that is in the society that needs to be addressed. So rape is not just one law and order issue; it's a deeper and it's a bigger issue. I think in my personal opinion, even if you make laws further, stringent, I don't think this issue will be addressed like that. So I think the government has to do more. I mean, judiciary, the role of judiciary starts only once some incident happens and the court takes cognizance of it. But there are things before that. For example, like better policing can be there, sensitization, gender sensitization program. That I think should would be much better instead of making those laws much stronger.
So in continuation to this, many judges and legal scholars have already opposed the idea of death penalty, as they say that this may be a violation of basic human rights. So what is your perspective on death penalty?
See, my perspective is that I am neither for it, I am nor against it. I think what the approach of the Supreme Court in this is the correct approach, that it awards death penalty in the rarest of rare cases. I think that is a good approach because see you can't be as you grow, as you progress as a civilization, you move away from archaic punishments, right? Death penalty is one of the few archaic things which we are still carrying, as you would know, in many of the developed countries. Death penalty has been done away with, but still we are keeping it. The reason is that one of the reasons is, say, we are also a victim of terrorism. Now there was a like in Bombay, this terror incident when 9/11 happened. The death penalty was awarded to Ajmal Kasab. I think that was the right thing to do. So in our country, we cannot do away with it completely. It should be there, but it should be confined to rarest of rare cases.
My next question is, what is the process, qualification and responsibilities of becoming a government advocate?
Okay, so government advocate, I believe there are two ways to it. Number one is you write an exam for additional district attorneys, which I think is conducted by state governments on a regular basis. That is one way. And second way is that you are appointed or nominated by the government as standing councils. So for that there is no exam. You have to apply, and if you are a suitable candidate, the government does take you, as a recruit you as a standing counsel in various ministries, or there are panel lawyers who represent government on a regular basis before the writ courts and other courts as well.
My next question, sir. Supreme Court Bar Association exam carries a weightage, carries importance. So, what do you think? What is the responsibility of the head? What powers does it offers to them?
Okay, so bar is basically it's a it's an association of lawyers. The primary role of the bar is to look after the welfare of the lawyers and also to carry out smooth functioning of the court. So, Supreme Court, since you're talking about SCBA in particular, I am also a member of it. So, it carries a weightage because it is bar association of the Supreme Court. So that itself gives it a lot of weightage. So they, whenever elections are conducted, it's a national news that who is the new bar president. So the main purpose of the bar is that you look after the welfare of the advocate, look after their needs, what are the pressing issues, how well we can engage with the bench to for the smooth functioning of the court. If there are any issues which are being faced by the lawyers, for example, vis-a-vis the registry, so the bar association as a body looks after all these things. So main purpose is in an organized manner to look after the welfare of the lawyers and for proper and smooth adjudication of the matters, so that there is no bottlenecks in this, and there is a proper way how, if there is an issue, we can solve it.
Okay, so that's all from my side. Do you have anything to convey to the law students from our podcast?
I would just say that don't take this recent judgment in a negative sense. It's a good opportunity for you. Go to the courts, learn the judicial work. It will definitely help you to enhance your soft skill, and it will make you a better judge. And also, I would know there would be some law students who will, in India, you can just get those certificates made of practice. I think that you should go to the court and 3 years live as a lawyer. Believe me, you will become better judges. That is my suggestion.
Thank you so much, sir, for
Welcome.
sharing your insightful thoughts. This is really very helpful.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having me.